Well, hello, everybody. I know you all did not expect to see me on camera. And I have to say that the only reason that I'm here is because Vince Wilburn would not let me get off this camera. I'm going to get him back for that one day, I promise him. But I am here to introduce you to Vince Wilburn and to Antoine Roney. They are amazing artists. They are both in the Miles Davis Electric Band, among other things. And so they have asked me to stay on and just kind of get the conversation started. So please come on and make your comments and say hello and ask your questions. Somebody has already said, Antoine, how are you? So I'm not sure who that is, but if you don't give StreamYard permission to use your name, it's only going to come up to us as Facebook user. So if you will, put your name in and we can see who you are. Let me start out by talking to Vince. We just found out how much of a connection we have because we're both Chicagoans. It turns out that his mother taught at the grammar school that I graduated from. So Vince, tell me a little bit about your experience in Chicago and how you came in. Well, everybody probably knows how you came into music, but I want you to start us out by just telling us about it.
I grew up in a very loving home. My dad was a military man, and he retired because I didn't want him to go to Vietnam. I cried, and so he started teaching ROTC. So he taught ROTC at DuSable and Crane, and my mother taught at Medill Primary. She was in Chicago Public Schools for 30 years, and I used to look at remember Monroe catalogs. For those who don't know, it's a mail order catalog place based in Chicago. And I used to stare at the drums in Monroe catalog and the drums in Sears and Roebuck catalog.
Right.
And I wanted to play drums. And I used to go to the concerts. I'm gonna speed it up. And stand on the side of the stage when Uncle Miles would come to town. But I would only be fixated on the drummer. Whatever the drums was doing, I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. And I talked my parents. I was probably seven or eight. I didn't want to sit in the audience with my parents. And I talked my parents into getting me a drum set. And my Uncle Miles said, Dorothy, get him an inexpensive kit. And if he sticks with it, then we'll buy him a professional kit. And that's what happened. My dad bought me my first professional kit. Then Uncle Miles had Yamaha send me a kit.
Wow.
But once I saw if it was Tony or Jack or whoever was playing on the drum chair, doing it, that's what I wanted to do. And back in the day, they had like multiple groups. Remember that, Ant? So you would have like Mom's Mabley would open up the show. Then it would be Herbie. Then it would be, somebody else, and then Miles. They flip the headlining.
That's right.
But so you saw 3 or 4 drummers in one show.
Where in Chicago was that you would be seeing that at that age?
The Auditorium Theater and the Opera House. Remember the Civic Opera House?
Yeah, absolutely. Plug Nickel was the one that I remember when I got to be a little bit older.
Plug Nickel. I went to a matinee and played a Cold Sweat beat at a Sunday matinee at the Plug Nickel. I just got on the drums. Yeah.
I remember seeing Miles Davis at the Plug Nickel in Chicago. So that's a pretty amazing.
And back then you could go. Go ahead, Ant. But we'll talk later.
Yes, we're gonna be in for a minute. Antoine, tell me about your start. How did you get into jazz? And first of all, I want to just express our loss of Wallace, who was an amazing trumpet player and a victim to this pandemic that we're in. So, I extend our condolences on that. Tell us how you got involved. You and your brother got involved in jazz.
Well, it was just a part of our lifestyle, our household. And as far as back as I can remember, just my father and his friends would listen to records. They would do like record parties from Saturday night or Friday night through the next day. They just arguing about who sound good, so and so sound better. And usually they would come to New York and they would see a concert or a performance, and then they would come back and talk about it. So I remember when they came back and they talked about this young drummer Tony, and
Mm,
my name was Tony. You know, they called me Tony.
right.
So I thought they was talking about me. You know, 'cause I was I was about 3 or 4 years old. You know, so you know, my father was like, you know, well, my brother started playing trumpet, and that's a whole story in itself because my
Which
father
we
had
want to hear.
okay, my father used to have a trumpet, and he had a Martin trumpet because my grandfather kind of got him into the trumpet, and they like Miles, so he got a Martin trumpet. Was taking lessons, but he had it in a brown paper bag, and he would put it behind the couch. And when he would leave, my mother would let my brother go and try to play it.
Mm.
And one day he played a note was so beautiful, and then my mother was excited, and my father got home, and she was like, "Play that note for him." So and he played the note. My father got mad. Said, "I told you don't touch my trumpet." And he put that trumpet up over top of the, you know, the cabinets, so he couldn't
Right,
hear the
right,
trumpet.
right.
But my mother sent my brother to school, and he was 5 years old, so
Mm,
I was three,
okay.
and you know, from then on. But I always wanted to play saxophone, you know,
Okay.
and I thought I wanted to play drums. I did hear my father talk about drums, but first I want to play sax. And he's like, "No, you don't want to play sax." We would go to the store and he'd buy toy instruments, and he wouldn't give me the toy saxophone. He got me a toy drum kit. So
Mm.
I played that thing until my one day I was playing it in the hallway, and
Mm.
my grandfather hollered, "Stop! Shut up!" And I was still playing, and he went and kicked the drum and broke the drum trying to get it off his foot, and that was the end of the show. I mean, and I was happy too because I wanted to play
Because you didn't
saxophone.
want to play it anyway.
Well, I kind of thought I did, you know, but I wanted to. I was really in touch with the saxophone, and
So how did you switch over? How did that happen?
well, the next day I went to the store and got a toy saxophone. When I went, 'cause we used to beg my grandfather, "Paw, paw, paw, paw." He used to get mad. He said, "Can I have this, paw, paw?" And he got me a saxophone, you know. But that whole time was really interesting because, like, I remember one time we was in Philadelphia on Susquehanna Avenue, and that was on the block where the Uptown Theater was at. So
Mm.
Mm.
we would cross the street from Uptown Theater is where we get our hair cut, and next to the Uptown Theater was like a five and dime store. And one time we went to the five and dime store, and we went through all the 45 records and found Phyllis D. Kilimanjaro
Mm.
in a 45.
Mm.
Now, that I must have been 4 or 5 years old, but we knew what it was. We took it home. We was listening to it, but then we would go to the rock and roll show at the Uptown Theater, and we would see. First, we see the movie. We would see Flipper or something like that, and then we would see whoever was there. You know, James Brown or you know, this was in the late '60s.
Yeah, those were the days.
I mean,
Was
you
it
know,
always drums for you, Vince?
Oh yeah, that was it. Nothing else. Nothing else. You know, because you gotta picture this. When you can see I was fortunate enough to be able to witness a drummer up close.
Yeah.
It's one. You can see it. You know, it's one way to see it from the audience. You know, it's like, but to see it, and you're right backstage, and you can see the motion and everything they're doing, like a
Mm.
bird's eye view. I was done. I was done. I was done. Tony told Wallace that when I used to stare at him, he said I knew Vince was going to be a drummer. The way he used to look
Wow.
at me, because I used to stare at Tony like a superhero. You know,
Wow.
yeah, at that young of age.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's really now, what is it about your Uncle Miles listening to you play drums on the telephone? Tell me about that.
We had a band, a funk band in Chicago with Randy Hall, Bobby Irving, and Felton Cruz, bunch of cats, right? So those when you remember the long chords, I'm telling my age now, where they would reach all the way down. Ant, you remember those long coil chords?
and what they
So
say.
okay, so it was a kitchen phone. So my
Uh-huh.
mom would bring this
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
cord, the phone, all the way down the stairs, Gail, and put the
Right,
phone
right,
down.
right.
So you got the long cord going down the stairs, and so we would play, and the phone would be off. You know, he didn't listen for about an hour, a couple of hours, and
Uh,
so you know he didn't hang up either. and then he would
Whoa.
hand us, hand us the phone. Each we would take the receiver, and we would pass it around. He would critique us,
Oh, okay.
and tell us what to work on. Y'all sound good. And then one time he did it and he said, "Y'all want to make a record?" And we went to New York to do Man with the Horn. We were like, "Yeah!"
Wow. Wow.
So we were excited about the room service. We were like, room service and limousines, and then we would rehearse it at his brownstone.
Okay.
And we learned so much from him.
Well, let
That's
me tell you a phone story. The phone. We used to everywhere we used to go. We used to go in the phone book and look up all the jazz musicians, and then we would call them up. But we'd be in
And
the
they were
basement.
listed.
They were listed. So one time I was in Philly. We was at home and we was in the basement going through the white pages, and I saw Coltrane, and I dialed the number, and a lady picked up the phone. I said, "Are you related to the famous John Coltrane?" And it was his mother.
Wow.
So I talked
Really?
I talked to his mother, and I talked to cousin Mary. But after a
Wow.
while, I would call them a lot, and at one time they kind of had like a little thing, so I thought I was kind of bugging them, so I stopped calling them.
How old were you, Aunt?
I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. 7.
Wow. That's Antoine, tell me about your years of working with Elvin Jones. I know you got stories because everybody who mentions Elvin Jones got stories.
There's a lot of. Well, Elvin. I think one story that come to mind is, Elvin had a setup where he had the horn players, and then Elvin, then the bass player was kind of behind him in the piano, so we couldn't. Elvin played really powerful. So, one time Elvin came to me and said, "Baby, you sound good tonight." So I said, "Yeah, but I couldn't hear myself." And before I could finish saying I couldn't hear myself, he said, "You know what you was doing? You don't have to hear yourself." So I got mad, and the next gig I came and I turned my back to him and put the mic like that, and I played really soft. And he heard every note that I played.
Did he really?
He heard every note. So then I realized about project, because he wouldn't let us have monitors, or he wouldn't let us go right into the mic, because he said if you put your horn into the mic and then the mic become an instrument, you rely on it. So, and then after that, we were able to have a conversation about projection. But before that, I was like, I had my little attitude, like he's playing loud and I'm a saxophone, and it made me understand that, blowing hard is not, you're not going to ever play over a drum. So you have to understand how to project through them. And we had conversations about that.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's a lot of stories.
Vince, tell me about the Miles Davis Electric Band.
I just want to ask Aunt one question.
Okay.
Did Elvin bring it every night, Aunt? Every night?
Every night.
Every night.
My brother's like that too. Every night I would come to the bandstand, and I was, wow, I'm tired. I want to just get through the set, and bam, Elvin hit, and
it's on.
Man, I mean, he never gave up.
Wow.
I asked Wallace about that with Tony, and Wallace said Tony was like that every night. Every night.
Elvin always, but he's told me that he got it from playing with Train. Train plays, so, and he had to learn how to pace himself. Now, I didn't understand when he said that, because he always played a lot to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand what he meant. I kind of understand what he said, how he paced himself, but
Aunt, Uncle Miles said Max played so fast it made his lip bleed. Max Roach. So, he said, "Yeah, he plays so damn fast." but Gail, there was something called Sunset Junction, to answer your question, out in Silver Lake, and so our publicist at the time said we should put a band together to commemorate Bitches Brew.
Okay.
I think it was the 50th anniversary. I can't remember what anniversary it was, and so I'm thinking, who do I call? And I started with Wallace, Antoine, and then I went down the line. Daryl Jones, Darren, Bobby Irving, Manyongo, Blackbird McKnight, and we had 3 percussionists, and we had a J-Rock. We had a turntablist. and we rehearsed for what 2 days, and because you all flew in early.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Gail, I got to tell you something. Two things. Wallace was the last. My dad, the last person I played with, and my dad witnessed was Wallace. After
Mm.
day after my dad's funeral, I flew to New York and we played a tsunami benefit with Marcus Miller in New York, and Wallace. I was playing with Wallace, and
Wow.
I gotta say this. I was so messed up, and Wallace spent time with me, and
Mm.
he got me through this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and and so that was the start of the Electric Band, and
Okay.
this is just a group of band leaders, you know,
Yeah,
and we're not a tribute band. We just play in the spirit of that great music, you
I
know.
see. Okay.
So and that's how it started.
And so
But
when you say it's a group of band leaders, so then it can change. You can the
well, when
personnel.
I say a group of band leaders, Ant has this. Everybody has projects,
Yes.
and
Okay.
the trumpet chair floats. So we have Etienne Charles, Nick Payton, Christian Scott. We've called Ambrose
Okay.
Ackerman Stewart. We've called Terrence Blanche. So it's great that the trumpet and everybody when the trumpet changes, the music,
Of
it's
course.
like it's right, and it goes
Mm-hmm.
someplace else. And then Antoine adapts because he's on the front line
Hmm.
to whoever's playing trumpet at the and it's really remarkable how Ant listens to whoever's playing trumpet, and the trumpeters who's ever featured listens to Ant. You
Well,
know.
that's how it's supposed to be, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It
And
doesn't
can you
always
speak?
happen.
And you speak on that, Ant?
Well, me and my brother, we worked on that kind of just trying to sound like one from way back then. Just because we
Mm.
always admired how Charlie Parker and Dizzy could sound like one, how Miles and Coltrane, sound like one. Like when I saw Peanuts, they sound like one. So we always try to figure out how to sound like one
Mm.
and
Hmm.
follow. And then when I would play with him, he would never do the same thing twice. So I would have to look at him and I had to do more than just listen to him. I had to look at him, see how he's breathing, and all these kind of things, and follow.
Wow.
You know. But now
That's,
the first time that we kind of from I remember the first time we played together, Vince, was at the Birdland.
Right, right. Tribute to Miles. Yeah,
At the
yeah,
Birdland,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we
Foley and
played,
yeah,
and
Mino.
everybody, yep, and
That's right.
yeah, I think
But
Antoine.
every time they came to town, Gail, he and and Wiley, I'd be right there, front row.
Oh,
Sometimes I'd pick y'all up from the airport.
when we come to town, we hang out for days.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
hang out
yeah.
for days. We be all over the place, getting some
so you
eat.
all have a really good friendship in addition to being bandmates. I can see that.
Gail, it's also a respect
Mm.
and the love that Antoine and his brother and his son and his nephew and his family they have
Yeah.
for the arts
Yes.
and music. I have to have somebody to bounce that off of because I'm the only child.
Mm.
So and Uncle
Mm.
Miles was gone, and
Right. Right.
so I'm like calling Aunt in the middle of the night. Hey, Aunt, who was on so and so? I used to call Wallace and say, Wallace, who was on so and so? They're
Wow.
like encyclopedias. Like, well, that was
Yeah.
John Coltrane, And so that's my connection on and off the bandstand. You know.
Okay. Do you all have a new project coming out?
Yes, it's going to be on a Legacy. I might be talking loud because I'm so excited, Gail. I'm sorry, but
I
it's
like.
going to be on Legacy, and but we're still working through songs. It's produced by Lenny White. All of
Okay.
us actually
Oh, nice.
co-produced by Lenny and the band. I
Okay.
don't never want to take credit for anything because I'm still a student of the music.
Mm.
We get off the bandstand. I'm calling Antoine's room like, what you think? You
Right.
know, or
Right.
Daryl or Bobby or or whoever's playing trumpet at the time.
Stay humble.
Because
That's what.
stay humble and,
Yeah.
and keep your ears open.
And keep your
Right,
ears.
right, Ant?
Yeah, but yeah, you have to kind of go with the spirit. There's no way that you can be you're you become the band become one, and you have to kind of understand how to be in the spirit. So some people might have a certain personality off the stage, but once they get on the stage, you understand who they are
Mm.
deep in their hearts.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
when we play, I can't be into myself
Right.
Because I have to, when Vince would play something and then Daryl would play a note, and then I had to play the next note. Or vice,
Mm.
I'll play something. I might have one thing in mind that I want to do. I hit one note, and then that low bass drop in there, and Vince plays something over there, and then it leads me somewhere else. And I had to be open enough. But we all, as a band, that's what I appreciate about. There's a lot of things I appreciate about this band, and I learn a lot about the band. And I never played with Miles, but playing in this band gives me let me understand the feeling of what Miles has developed over the years
Mm.
from way back then to now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And being on that bandstand is like being on. It's not like any other bandstand.
Wow.
I
It's very.
Hey, Ant, I was always curious about how do you adapt to the different trumpeters? You know, your brother, cats in the band, all the cats that play with us. What do you on the stage? What is it that you know
the 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 way
that you vibing
the
on?
trumpet player start and ends their notes
Hmm.
and their phrases and every no matter what I can play as loud as I want to play and the trumpet can play as soft as they want to play and it's still going to project over me.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
understand the timbres of the instrument and what and how that blend can be with the saxophone. So I try to find that blend. Some trumpet players you can't you don't play anything. You just let them play and you play something after them. And some of them you can blend with and move along with.
What about when Ravi played with us in Europe? What was that like? I mean, in your in
Well,
terms of
well, well
how you heard
me
it.
and me and Robbie is very close, and we had bands together from when we were younger, and we played together a lot. So me and Robbie, I don't, we could be 5 or 6 years, and then we jump on the bandstand. We just know what to do with each other.
Wow.
And Gail, I'm back there like I was as a kid when I saw Tony at the auditorium. I'm just excited to hear the way the music is forming. you know. And I remember Herbie telling us at the Hollywood Bowl we were doing Playboy Jazz. He said, "Your uncle would be proud of you because you guys aren't trying to mimic what we play.
Right. Okay. That's important.
It's your interpretation of what you all hear.
And
And
that's
that
really important, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. And we hate the word tribute band. We're not a tribute band because
No.
it's nothing wrong with being a tribute band if that's what you want to do.
Right.
But we're experimenting, and I get excited to listen to trumpets and how different trumpeters, and how they approach the music and
Hmm.
how we approach the music.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's amazing.
Somebody, oh, Marcus Baylor just said, "This is awesome." And
Marcus,
you know what? Marcus and Jean were out at the house a couple of years ago, and I was making some vegan ribs, and you called at that same time. I
and
remember.
now dig this, Gail. Marcus, I'm gonna tell it. The Stones were just in St. Louis, and Marcus is from Ferguson, right?
I know.
So I'm not gonna mention who in the Stones called me for some ribs or a rib joint. They called me, and I called Marcus. He gave me a whole list of
Mm.
And being
rib
from the
joints in St. Louis that got
in
to
St.
go.
Louis. The other thing that was really funny
Oh, we
about
get
that,
off the highway and get some snoop.
right? Well, not only that, but
We can get off the highway and go get some snoop.
Marcus' mom makes fried fish and spaghetti, which is I'm used to for being from the Midwest.
Oh,
But Gene is always like, "Who eats fried fish and spaghetti together?" And we're like, "Where are you from?"
ooh, I
Where
do.
you from?
I do. And some coleslaw.
And some coleslaw and white bread,
Yeah,
even if
yeah.
you don't eat it any
Oh,
other
come on now. Uncle Maj used to send me from Malibu. I live with him in Malibu, all the way to the hood. He said, "Go get me some of that Wonder Bread." He called it Wonder Bread.
Wow, wow,
I would drive
man.
all the way from Malibu to get the Wonder Bread and
to get
some
the Wonder
fried
Bread.
fish. If he didn't fry it,
That
he
is
would
right.
fry it sometime.
Marcus said,
Oof.
"Yes, family, come on now."
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody, Antoine, somebody is asking you to tell the story about your adventures traveling and playing African rural villages.
Ooh, wow. Well, I lived in Ghana for 2 years, and when I was in Ghana, this is right after I left Elvin, went to Ghana, and
Mhm.
that was an experience. I mean, it was great. It was a good and bad at the same, on the same level.
Mm.
I through Kamadi Denny Zulu.
I knew Kamadi.
Yeah, we was really close. So he said,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go to Ghana. And he said, and I'm gonna come there a little later, and I'm gonna show you on the same streets as you walk on. I'm gonna show you, different. And he did. When he came, he showed me like right in Accra. We went down to some of the slave castles right in downtown Accra that people don't even know it's there.
Yeah, in
You know?
Jamestown.
Yeah, well, right down in downtown Accra,
Mm.
down is a little section where you go down, and the sign says that if you go, you're not under United States protection. And then we went out, and then you turn around and look, and it's a slave castle. So
Wow.
we went to Brooklyn Square, and then he took me up to the bush, and he had called me. He said, "Look, we got to leave today at such time," and I had to tell my wife I'm leaving to go to the bush now. So I went and I waited for the commodity. It was like 5 o'clock, and he didn't show up till like 10 o'clock. And then they come with this big old this minivan that was packed, and I only could fit in the back. And I was in the back with a little lamb. They had a lamb back there, a little lamb. And we
Yeah.
rode for hours all the way up north, and then we stayed in the area up north until we were able to go into the bush. And we went to the
Mm.
bush, life just went just like downshift. It was I was in the bush.
Wow.
It was like living in mud houses,
Yeah.
and that experience. I mean, that's a whole conversation in itself. I saw things that I can't even explain.
Well, if you were with Kamadi, I can just imagine he was a very spiritual brother and very connected to the continent. I was his
Mhm.
lawyer when he was commissioned to write music for Alvin Ailey.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Oh,
That's interesting.
that was my buddy. That was my buddy.
Somebody said he was 5 hours late, but he showed up on time.
Uh,
And he used to call me just to give me things to listen to.
Did he
You know.
really?
Yeah.
He was very much
Yeah.
into jazz.
He's a good brother.
oh yeah.
He
Good
really
brother.
was. Yes. This has been so great, guys. I want you to tell me, each one of you, start with you, Vince, something that an older musician said to you, gave you some advice. Who was that musician and what did they say?
Well, one of the things that Uncle Miles said was never cheat the music, meaning, always listen. This is what I took from it. Never think you're at a never think you're at a peak where you kind of trail off.
Okay.
Always have that hunger and thirst to keep your ears open and learn more and keep the evolution going.
Mhm.
This man used to change clothes 6 times a day
What?
and listen to music all day long, Gail. All day. Have the sound down on the TV
Mhm.
and turn up something and have the trumpet close by, like Wallace, like Antoine,
Mhm.
and just a thirst for and a love for music. Material things he already, he of course he had
He already had
houses,
that.
Ferraris, and he didn't live by that.
Right.
And
It was
he said, just don't cheat the music. I can't really say what he said. He said, don't blank, fill in the blanks, but I'll just say paraphrase, don't cheat the music.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. How about you, Antoine? Give me some advice that somebody gave you.
Well, another Elvin Jones story. I would, Elvin played these solos, and nobody know how to or don't know where he ends his solo, so we can come in with the melodies. I kind of knew, but I always kind of doubted it. So one time, Elvin, we was talking, and I told Elvin, I said, I know, I kind of know what's happening, but sometimes I doubt. And right before I finished that, he says, "It's no room for doubt."
Mm,
There's
mm,
no room for doubt. I love
mm.
that. I got to put that up too.
And
Hey, and they were fearless, right?
oh,
Fearless, Gail. When you have your mentors or somebody you look up to and they're fearless,
Yeah,
then
then you
you
got to
want to.
come the same way.
Yeah, you got. Yeah,
You
Yeah,
got to bring
yeah.
it the same way.
Take a chance, and be fearless too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So
But
my
no,
last question to you all is, what advice can you give now to a younger musician to guide them on their path to where you guys are now and even greater? Start with you, Antoine.
okay, that's
And
a.
you've got a younger musician right there. You got your son, right?
I have my son, and a lot of younger guys come over, and it's kind of a hard situation. I had some younger guys a few years ago, and I was trying to explain things, and I couldn't explain the integrity of the music, so I took them to Africa, and
Hmm.
we went to the back in the bush, and they got sick, and then and it's a video on YouTube. They got sick, and we was riding for 3 days on the back road, and boom, 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 and then we just pull over and got out our horn to start our instrument to start playing. And
Wow.
Mm,
but for me talking to the younger musicians and how with the state of where the music is at today from my experiences, younger musicians need to get with older musicians. I don't
Mm.
care who it is. It could be, I mean, if it could be the highest level people or whoever just lived in that time and play and talk and just have them mentor them, because the music is not, it's about the story you tell. It's not about the notes you play. You know,
Mm.
like I would say, when I was coming up, I didn't own a blues record, although I love the music, but it was passed down to me through my grandfather sitting at an old rocking chair singing the blues. So when I
Okay.
heard, the blues, I mean, it was just a natural for me to love it and to like it and to understand it. I didn't have to go out and buy records to really
Hmm.
love that. And that's the part of it that we have to let them understand, that it's in your heart, it's in your soul. How do you pull it out of your heart and soul?
What was the lesson that you wanted those young people to learn by taking them far into the bush and then just getting out and playing? What's the lineage that you wanted them to get from that?
Survival,
Okay.
playing when you feel like we were saying with Miles and my brother Elvin. They played like it was never going to happen again.
Mm.
I saw Elvin playing his leg. He couldn't even feel in his leg, and he kept on playing.
Wow.
I, there's an element of just the survival being, if you can survive and through a lot of these different things, and then you pick up an instrument, you have something to say.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Thank you. Vince, what do you want to tell young people um, who are on their path, on their way here, but you want to give them some advice that you think would be helpful?
I agree with Antoine. They should listen, and they shouldn't be afraid to ask the elders. You know, whatever question they want to ask. The only thing we or someone older than us can say is, "I don't want to talk about it. I don't have the time." But a
Mm.
lot of times, I remember when I was coming up, I wasn't afraid to ask anybody anything, and they always had they had the time. They showed the time to even share with me
Mm.
what if I had a crazy. I used to ask Tony Williams what he ate before he played. Because I'm a kid, I want to know. He said
Right.
macaroni and cheese,
yeah.
but that's wild. How that's amazing how Aunt took some kids to Africa. But I
Mhm.
just like to. I always have the time to speak to the young musicians, and share what I learned from the elders and what I'm still learning. You know,
Mhm.
Y-
Mhm.
you know, you gotta, I remember when Kojo, when we started that first band, that first gig at Sunset Junction, Kojo, I have a photo of him sitting by my floor tom, you know,
Wow.
sitting right there. It's an amazing photo, and and look where he is now.
That's
And
right.
all the young cats, and Eli, Richard Howe's son, and
Yeah, Richard
Emilio,
Hall's
and
on here, I think.
Kojo. Oh, it's the the music is in great hands because of us who take the time out to share what we know.
Hmm.
That's important, Gail. It's important.
I
It's
believe it too.
so it's important because the music programs are taken out of schools. The phys ed is taken out of
Yes.
schools.
Yes.
So Kids want to go to YouTube and get the quick, but it's not about that.
No, no, no.
You know, we're available if for people, for kids who want to call us and talk to us.
Let me tell you,
So that's your advice too, is to reach out to you. Don't be afraid to approach.
Please.
don't be
Okay.
afraid. Let me tell this is one thing that Elvin that happened with me, and I played the song. We did this Coltrane thing, and I played the song with Elvin, and we played Lonnie's Lament.
Mm.
And after we played it, it was magic. So then after the thing, I went to Elvin. I said, "Wow, I didn't know this song went like that." Elvin said, "Well, if you don't play a Coltrane song with me, you would never know how to play a Coltrane song."
Mm.
Wow.
And I understood it. That's hard. I could say those words, and people and can tell it, but I understand that from being on the bandstand with him, understanding that there's certain things in the music that he gave me on that song that nobody else can give me.
Hmm.
Like, so this music is kind of, you don't learn it in the room; it's passed down. So
Yeah.
if you're not around the elders, you're not going to play this music. You might play
That's
the
so
notes.
true. So that's really a word to the wise, is to get with the elders. And you know, as Gary Bartz just said last week when he was on here, this music is you have to hear it. You can't learn it from a page. You have to hear it. And so that is good advice. You got to get with the elders and listen to this music. That's
Definitely,
good.
definitely, and experience
So
it on the bandstand too, Gail.
yes,
You know.
give us a parting word, Vince, and then Antoine.
This is from the heart. I feel blessed to be as close as I am to the Roney family, to his sister, to his grandmother, who's 105.
Isn't that beautiful?
And I'm gonna tell on her. She maybe go get her some Hershey Kisses.
That's what's
You know,
keeping. That's what's keeping her around.
his sister, his nephew, niece. I call them. They call me Uncle V. His daughters. I mean, you know, because I'm still a student, Gail. I'm still a student. To the day I die. I'm gonna be bugging everybody. You too. You know, because the thirst for knowledge would never end. That's all I gotta
That's
say.
beautiful. That's
we
beautiful.
played the Hollywood Bowl. The last time we played the Hollywood Bowl, and Herbie Hancock was there.
Mm-hmm. He was on the side of the stage.
And my grandma said, "Where Herbie?" She wanted to talk to him, so she talked to Herbie. She told Herbie, she said, "If you practice every day, you'll always sound good."
That is only a 105-year-old grandmother could say.
105. 105.
Listen, I have so thoroughly enjoyed you all, and I will forever be mad at Vince for making me come on camera, but I did enjoy it, I have to say.
It's a connection, Gail. It's a connection. We didn't get a chance to answer any of your questions, but
I know, but that's all right.
Yeah.
You all will come back, and I don't want to let this week go by without acknowledging the anniversary of the transition of Miles Davis, which was just 2 days ago. I think it was 29 years.
It's 30.
30 years this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
September 28th, 1991.
Yes, I want to acknowledge that.
Yeah,
Well,
and we got a lot of love from a lot of all around the world.
I know.
And this is not
Wait,
a
didn't you just
plug,
get
but somebody asked about the hoodie.
What award did you just get? You got something just recently for the...
We won 2 Emmys for Birth of the Cool yesterday, for sound and for best documentary.
Congratulations.
And Antoine has a new record out with his son.
Uh-oh, what's the title?
Yeah.
The title is called "Controlling the Uncontrollable."
I love it. And is it available on all platforms?
It's gonna on iTunes in a few days. It's going to be on iTunes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it's amazing, Gail.
I can't wait to hear it.
For the merch. This is home. This is the home sweatshirt. Antoine's got a record out, but they can go to milesdavis.com and go to Miles Davis store for all the merch. Anything we wear, the hats, everything.
Oh, beautiful.
And Antoine sent me the record yesterday, and I can't stop listening to it. I downloaded it.
I gotta hear it too.
It's a live performance we did at Seneca Village in Central Park, and it was a special moment. And
that is special.
This have to come out.
There's a lot of spirit behind the music that you all do. I can feel that.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward. Don't go away. I'm just going to say goodbye to my audience. Thank you all. Thank you for all your comments. And I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.